Video games. We've all played them, and we've all been obsessed with at least one of them. And today, I'm going to redraw some of their covers. But before I ruin any of them, I want to talk about where game cover art even came from, because it's way weirder and funnier than you think. Back in the very early days, the late 70s and 80s, game art had one job: make it look epic, even if the game itself had maybe like 5 pixels on screen. The box might show a fierce intergalactic insect shooting lasers at you, but when you boot the game, it is this. Another example is the old Atari boxing cover art. The cover shows two fighters locked in a dramatic, sweat-soaked battle full of tension. Meanwhile, in-game, the fighters are just tiny letter M's moving around a small square ring. Or the NES Mega Man 1 cover, arguably the most cursed art ever created. Mega Man looks like a 45-year-old divorced accountant cosplaying with a plastic water gun. Capcom literally had to apologize for it years later. But here's the thing, as games got better, the covers started catching up. By the late 80s and early 90s, companies realized people actually cared about the art. Studios started hiring real illustrators, comic artists, painters, and concept designers. Suddenly, you're seeing stuff like Castlevania with that dramatic gothic composition, or Street Fighter 2 looking like an explosion of muscles, colors, and motion. There was an identity, a style, there was a whole vibe to it. Then the jump to CDs and the rise of the PlayStation and N64 pushed everything to another level. Print quality improved, marketing budgets got bigger, and video game covers became legit iconic poster art. You could frame some of them and hang them on a wall without anyone calling you a nerd. Well, maybe not yet. And what is cool is how different games use the cover to instantly communicate the mood. Horror games went dark, grainy, atmospheric. Platformers went bright and cartoonish. RPGs had something dramatic going on, and anything from the 2000s had a piss filter. Over time, gaming hardware evolved faster than the art world could keep up, but the covers always remained this tiny, passionate flex. A single image meant to convince you that what's inside that box is worthy of your time and money, and probably your whole childhood. The weird thing is, now that everything is digital, game covers are kind of disappearing. No more big boxes, no more glossy art, just tiny thumbnails in an online store or the Steam shop. We don't get that moment anymore where you pick up a game, flip it around, and judge it purely by how cool the art looks. It's a small thing, but it kinda sucks. Some of the best art in gaming existed just to sit on a shelf, but honestly, that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. If the world is going digital anyway, I might as well redraw some covers myself before they vanish completely. I picked 3 game covers to draw: Majora's Mask, GTA San Andreas, and Pokemon Fire Red. Not because they're the most historic or the most important, but because their covers are really recognizable, and even if I mess it up, you will still know what it's supposed to be. Hopefully. Alright, so history lessons over, let's ruin some video game covers. First up, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, specifically the 3DS version, the one with the glow-up and the slightly questionable swimming physics. Majora's Mask launched in the year 2000 on the N64, and is still one of the strangest and coolest things Nintendo has ever put out. Not strange in a haha funny way, it's more strange in a why am I crying over a side quest about marriage? What makes the game even crazier is how it was created. After Ocarina of Time became a cultural reset, Nintendo wanted a new Zelda game in 1 year. Miyamoto literally said, "Just make a sequel in 12 months. So the dev team basically had to speedrun this whole game. They reused the Ocarina engine, recycled character models, and built the whole experience around a risky concept: a repeating 3-day cycle where the entire world resets. Every NPC has a schedule, every event is tied to the clock, and the moon is constantly falling on you. The themes that were already mature in Ocarina were pushed to an even darker place in Majora's Mask: loss, grief, identity, acceptance. The major transformation masks you get are literally formed from the spirits of the dead, fallen figures like Darmani and Mikao, who were heroes of their people, and a Deku Butler's lost child, whose fate you feel rather than see. A lot of side quests feel less like classic Zelda fetch quests, and more like you're dropping into people's lives at their absolute worst moments. In 2015, we got Majora's Mask 3D, the version I am drawing. Here, Nintendo upgraded basically everything: sharper textures, cleaner models, better lighting, quality of life fixes like improved saving. Yes, you finally don't have to rely on those owl statues anymore, and adjustments to bosses that made them slightly less cryptic. And the cover art, the original N64 box didn't show Link at all, just Majora's Mask floating in darkness. For the 3DS remake, they doubled down. Brighter colors, heavier contrasts, and that almost neon glow that makes the mask look like it knows exactly how many times you let the moon crush Termina. That's what makes the mask so iconic. Even if you've never played the game, you probably recognize it instantly. It's bold, it's colorful, and unsettling. Somehow, I find it cute and threatening at the same time. Anyway, that's your quick Majora's Mask history dump. A rushed sequel, a collapsing timeline, and a mask that became one of the most recognizable images in gaming. Here's my version of it. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, arguably one of the most famous video game covers ever. The art team at Rockstar, led by Aaron Garrett's crew, didn't want just a game box. They wanted a vivid poster that felt like a slice of the world inside. Every character, every pose, every background element was carefully placed to give a sense of controlled chaos without breaking the composition. It's basically organized madness, just like the game itself. There's also a tiny tradition in GTA cover design that you will now never unsee. Since GTA 3, almost every cover that uses this classic grid format has a helicopter in the top left corner. It's basically a hidden signature at this point. San Andreas released in 2004 and didn't just do well, it absolutely dominated. It became the best-selling game of that year in the US, and according to Take-Two and Guinness World Records, it ended up selling around 27.5 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling games ever and a top performer in the GTA series before GTA 5 took over. On the PlayStation 2 alone, it sold over 17 million units, earning a spot in the record books as the most successful PS2 game of its time. So this cover didn't just look iconic, it represented an era, a massive open world, freedom to roam, tight storytelling, and one of the most replayable games of the 2000s. With my drawing, I gave myself the liberty to use a soft spray brush to stay true to the theme of the original, and it was pretty needed. I was getting kind of fed up with only drawing with a monoline brush, and it really helped me get out of a creative rut. In a sec, you'll also see that this decision was crucial for my next and favorite drawing of this series. But hey, if you're enjoying the chaos so far, a like and subscribe always helps. Anyway, here's the result. And finally, Pokemon Red version for the original Game Boy. This one came out in 1996 and basically started a worldwide phenomenon. The very first Pokemon games in Japan weren't just red and blue, there was also green, a Japan-only release that never came overseas. The red and blue versions we all know internationally were actually based on a later enhanced Japanese blue build. So if you ever thought you saw a green cover as a kid, well, that was either a bootleg or something you discovered online much later. The cover art on this one is pretty simple. Charizard takes center stage with a bright red background and the classic Pokemon logo. Even on a tiny Game Boy cartridge, the cover remains ultra legible. Every mainline Pokemon cover follows this simple formula. One dominant Pokemon front and center, a clean background, and instantly readable colors, making it immediately recognizable, even to kids who can't read yet. The red version sold over 31 million copies worldwide. That is including combined red and blue numbers, making it one of the best-selling Game Boy games ever, and a title that basically launched Pokemon as a global brand. The original art was illustrated by Ken Sugimori, who designed almost every original Pokemon. Charizard on the cover is slightly different from the in-game sprite, giving it that larger-than-life legendary vibe right from the start. For my redraw, I stayed true to the original style, but I went a bit realistic with the shading. I'm really super happy with how it turned out, and it's definitely one of my favorite pieces in this series. And that's Pokemon Red. Classic, iconic, and still epic after all these years. Alright, here are the 3 covers I managed to redraw. Honestly, this turned out weirder than I expected, but I'm super happy with the results, and I loved every second of drawing them. Thanks for sticking around to see them all. These drawings and more are up as prints on my Redbubble. If you like them, check them out. Or if you want to fuel my raging caffeine addiction, you can buy me a coffee. Links are below. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which game cover should I draw next? Or maybe you have some totally absurd drawing idea for me? Leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, drop a like and hit subscribe. It really helps me keep making these kinds of videos. Thanks again for being here, and if you like this one, you'll probably enjoy this video right here.